We're going to have a look to see how to create the sidebars in Oxygen Builder. The idea is to then be able to go through to the widgets, the standard widgets area within WordPress, and simply be able to add a block and to create these widget areas. For example, here we have a product sidebar, and on here we can place the various widgets. And if I go through to the products page, you'll see that this only appears on the products pages. So how do we set that up? Well, what we do is we head over to plugins, and we need to download a plugin called WooSidebars. We'll just have a look at those details quickly, and you'll see that what WooSidebars essentially does then is allow you to create sidebars and then customize and specify where those sidebars should appear. So in this case, what we did is we created a product sidebar, and in our product sidebar it only appears on the products page. So how do we do that? So I'm gonna just show you here in Oxygen. We're going to work on the shop archive, and what we'll do is we're going to add a second products sidebar, and we'll add some sidebars perhaps even in the footer, so you can see how this works. So the first thing that we're going to do then is we're going to head over here to WooSidebars, and you'll notice that once you've installed, there's no link in the sidebar here to WooSidebars. What will happen is when you go to Appearance, you'll see that you now have the ability to create what's called a widget area. So if I go to Appearance, the first thing I'm going to do is go to Widget Areas, and inside Widget Areas I'll be able to create a new widget area. So this is the products widget. So for a standard product widget, what I'm going to do actually then is I'm going to delete this one, and we'll build it from scratch and then apply the widget. So at the moment we have no widgets, and if I go to the products page and refresh, you'll see that we have no widgets. Now I'm going to add those widgets. The elements that you see here were added directly in Oxygen Builder. So I'm first going to go in now and add that widget. So we'll add new. And what I'll do is I'm going to call this product 1, just to differentiate from the previous one. And now at the bottom of the page, you'll see that you have all these options here for your widget. So we can do it where it's not in the advanced mode, where you'll just see the one tab. If you just see the one tab, head over to the side, click on advanced, and now you'll see all the different tabs available for customizing. And what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the post types, and all we do is tick products. Now this sidebar product 1 is only going to appear on the products page. So we publish that. Once that's published, we can now go to Appearance, Widgets, and what you'll see now in the widgets area is that here we have the sidebar product 1. Okay, and for some reason it's inherited the items that we had originally placed in the sidebar for the products page. But just to show you how this would work, you would simply then open up your widget area, and here on the top you have the plus, and I can now add a widget. So I might want to add a heading here, for example. So I would simply drag the heading across. Now you'll see here we had the heading location, which was added in Oxygen. Maybe I want to add that now in the sidebar, and the reason for that is because the category listing that we have installed here, the widget for category listing, doesn't have a heading. So what I'm going to do now, those are the only options. So I want to add a heading, so I'm going to head in here now, and let's call it locations. And you can see here that you do have the option to style. So I'm just going to leave it as that. We'll update, and now when we head over to the website, you'll see that those sidebar widgets appear, and now what you're actually seeing is that there's no active product sidebar. And the reason for that is because although we've added the sidebar and we've added some information, we haven't added the sidebar in Oxygen, and that's why it's referencing the product sidebar, which was the name of the previous sidebar. So to get that activated, we can either here just go Oxygen Edit Shop Archive Template, or head to our templates, and I'm going to here edit the shop archive. So we'll open that, and now we're going to edit with Oxygen. Another thing that I can do while we waiting for Oxygen to load is perhaps under widgets is add another widget. So you'll see that when you add a widget, you have options here to search, or you can simply scroll down and have a look at the various widgets. So let's have a look at maybe putting in a cart widget. So although we don't use the cart, let's do filter products by price. So what I'll do now is I'm going to enter that here. So here we have filter products by price. Okay, that's all I've done is drag that across, update. Right, so now we have a couple of new widgets. So Oxygen is loaded, and now we need to add that sidebar. So we click on add, and now what we'll do is we'll head over to WordPress, and now we're going to look for sidebars. And inside sidebars now you'll see I deleted the product sidebar, and here is product 1. So I'm installing product 1 sidebar, and you'll see now that some of the information is being pulled through, and what I'm going to do now is delete the old one, and also I can remove that heading. So I go to my structure, there is that title locations, I'm going to remove that and save. Now the formatting here is not going to be anything close to what we have on the front page. So when I refresh here, there you go. So there is the sidebar with the newly added title locations, and then also with the filter by price. And here we have filter by bathrooms, filter by bedrooms, filter by garages. And then of course if I adjust the filter for pricing, you'll see now that that works, and I can isolate the cheapest item, or I can isolate the most expensive item, and you'll see that that's pretty much how the filter by price works. The difference with the filter by price and the other filters, though, just a quick note, is that when I click here on bathrooms, for example, you'll see that the other filters change relative to what I've selected. However, when it comes to selecting the price as a filter, it doesn't have the same option here when setting up your filter by price to in this case I'll show you the query type is AND, which means that it works AND in relation to the next item, and to the next item, and to the next item. This works more on an OR basis, where filter by price, OR, and then the AND, the AND, the AND, and the AND here. So just bear that in mind when you're using the price filter. However, it is working. There we have our price filter. So that's how we added the sidebar here to the side of the properties page. So let's say I wanted to add a sidebar to the side of the say the single product page. Now I wanted to add a sidebar. So what I would do, same process, head back to my appearance menu, go to widget areas, and here I'm going to add a new widget here, for example, and I'll call this one let's call that product single. And now what I do is, right, so I do want it to be only for post types product, but I also want it to be for a single product. So here we have the shop page, product categories, product collections, products, cart page, and checkout page. Here we have pages. So these are just the general pages that you can see, so nothing to do with any templates. Pages and their children. There we have page templates. We won't be looking at those. Post types we've already selected. So the only other option then would be on the products page. And we'll publish. And now what we'll do is we'll head over to the widgets area. And in the widgets now, we're going to, you'll see here we have product single. So I can click here to add a block. and maybe what I want to add in here is a paragraph, and let's type in, so this could be something that you'd like to display on all the product pages. In this case, this is a test paragraph. Let's have a look at something else. Let's see if there's anything else on WooCommerce. Maybe what we want to do is we want to do a featured category or a featured product. Then you could move along in here, and let's say we're going to feature the big city house. Right, so that's what we're going to feature, and we'll update. Right, so now let's go and add that to the single product page. So I'm going to head back to admin. Let's go back to templates. And then let's have a look at the shop single. We'll edit that with Oxygen. And what we're going to do now is add that featured product. And what we'll do is we'll just add it here. We're going to add that sidebar here below the feedback form. So we could also, even in our template, have the feedback form added via the widget area. In fact, we could allow now the owner or the designer then to add any widgets that they would like in the sidebar below the essential information. So we're just waiting here for Oxygen to load. Okay, should be nearly loaded. Right, here's Oxygen loaded. So let's just get the structure panel open. And what we want to do now is head over to this column. And what we'll do is we'll add the sidebar here below the last shortcode. So we head over to WordPress, sidebars, and now we're going to add product single. And we just add that sidebar. And already you'll see now that something is visible. And we'll save that. And now we'll head over to the big city house. And what I'm going to do now is refresh this page. And now you'll see that that sidebar has been added. And this is the appearance. And that would obviously then need to be styled using some CSS. And then also we want to get rid of these bullet points. For some reason they appear by default when adding items to the sidebar. So to remove those elements, I'm going to just have a look and see what CSS element those are. And here we have, let's add a list style, and let's change that to, you'll see here, none, and that's gone. Now you'll see that we don't want to necessarily do this all the time. So what we can do then is just have a look here for the top element here. So here we have this ID here, and what we can do then is just assign it to this ID, so we don't have to do it for each individual item. Alternatively, if you do want to keep those for some reason, you can select each individual item and then remove. Or what we can do is just do widget. So let's do widget, and now whenever there's a widget, that list style will be eliminated. So I'm going to copy that style from there, and now what I'll do is I'm going to go into Oxygen, and you'll see here that what I've done is I've created a custom product style sheet, and I'm just popping these updated styles there just to keep it nice and neat and all in the same place. And now when we go back to our page and refresh, you'll see that those little dots are gone. So that's how we can add the widget area to pretty much any part of the website. And the same principle would apply to adding widgets to the footer. So instead of here having these individual items typed in, you could then add a widget, and that could include, say, a navigation, you could include a menu, a product listing. Any of those then can be added. So let's then just have a look how we'd add a widget to the footer. And here I'm going to go back to the admin, and what I'm going to do now is first create the widget area, and this widget area we're going to call the footer. And now you can have several widgets in the footer, so you could have footer 1 for the first column, and over here you might now you can decide if this is going to appear on all pages or if this is only once again going to appear when you're in a post type. So in this case I'm not going to select anything. I'm just going to create footer 1 and publish. And then once that's published, and the reason why we set this up before we go into Oxygen is so that when Oxygen loads, it then will list the sidebar area. Otherwise you would have to refresh Oxygen to pick up the name of the sidebar. So I like to set it up first and then to go into Oxygen. So okay, let's add a widget here, and in this case let's have a look at something under WooCommerce, and let's have a look at let's do a product, products, newest products, top rated, well, let's just do a featured category, and in this category I'm going to do that'll just give me the one product, but in this case let's just do the category for the one area, and that's what it'll look like. And over here I can obviously then make some changes and even advanced add some information. So I'm going to update that, and what I'm going to do is just add this into the footer of the website. So I'm going to head over to Oxygen, templates, and now I'll head over to my main template and we'll edit with Oxygen. So there we have Oxygen loading, and maybe what I'll do is maybe I want to add a paragraph as well. Sometimes you want to add a standard paragraph, so click on add. Let's add a paragraph, and for content. And what I'm also going to do here now is I'm going to add another class just in case the text color isn't readable or nicely readable on the front end, or here I can change the color of the text even easier. So let's just in this case use a class, and I will just say let's call it footer 1 then. So there we have a class footer 1, update. And now I'm going to head over here to Oxygen and scroll down to the footer. And what I'll do is I'm just going to take out in my structure, I think what I'll do is I'll remove these items, and in that div now I'm going to add the sidebar, WordPress, sidebars. There's the product 1. So there I've added product 1, which is the incorrect one. What we want to do is the single product. So let me just add that again, which is footer 1. And there you'll see the footer 1 is now displayed in the sidebar. And what I'm going to do is save that, and then we'll refresh. And now if I scroll down to the sidebar, you'll see that there we have the added item, and then here we have the paragraph. Now you'll see that the styling looks a bit odd, so let's just have a look at that. So if I inspect that element, there we have the second widget, the top widget, and yeah, the styling is a bit out, and now you'll see that it has this strange bit of padding which pushes it off the page. If we just have a look at the item at the bottom, there is that class that we added to that item, footer 1, and you'll see that there's not much that I can do with the class on an item within the widget. What I need to do is change some styling on that widget. So I'm going to head back to Oxygen, and you'll see here at the bottom of the page we have the style output. So I'm going to see if that will work to style the sidebar, and I'm going to select. So there is no way to style this element from within using that selector. I will head over here. Everything is set to 0, so it doesn't look like there's anything that we can do within Oxygen now to style that particular widget. If I head back to my widgets, you'll see that, and let me just here to the correct one, you'll see that when I select footer 1, there's no there's nothing that I can style here in the widget itself. So the only way to resolve that then would be to head over to the website, and then that could be the column padding. So let's just head over back here, and what I'm going to do now is and to that div, just there we go, that will sort out some of that. And now when I refresh, okay, so that's on, yeah, that's looking a bit better. So there it is. So we just removed the padding for that particular div, and now we have our widget fitting nicely in place. Of course, you might want to style that differently, and you could see that inside your widget area for that particular item, you can change the background color. So if we wanted to change the background color, and that just to show that it works, we'll update, and now you can do some of the styling from within the widget area, and there that has changed. If you want to change the height of that widget, then you would have to come into the block and just have a look and see what affects the height. So the minimum height here is 500 pixels, and maybe what we want to do then is add a custom style to that block, and here under advanced we could have and we'll just call that shop now, for example, and update, and now you'll see that that change is applied immediately. And now we can just have a look for that class. So okay, there is the class. Okay, a bit of a spelling error there. So what we can do then is, and then what we can do is put in a height of say 200 pixels. Let's change that then to, and what we can do now, just to make sure that that takes hold, let's make that important. Right. So there we have overridden the default style, and here, for example, we could also add in a border radius of say 5 pixels. So you get the idea. You're able then to style that element, and then once you're happy, just remember then to copy your style, and to keep things nice and neat, head over to style sheets, head over to your custom product sheet or whatever you call it, and add the style. We'll save that, and now when we head back to the website and refresh, you'll see that that is applied. So that's how we've added a widget area to the right of the product. We've added the widget area to the footer, and what we've also done is we've added a footer a widget area to the product area, and that can all be managed then within the standard widget area of your WordPress website. So no need to go into Oxygen and manually add the widgets. If you do need to add the widgets inside Oxygen, it does work a little bit differently but very similar. And the way that that would work is, let's just say I wanted to add a widget anywhere. So maybe after that item we would add, and now we would go back to Oxygen, and here we click on widgets, and then you have the widgets available here to be dropped in directly into the template. But that would mean then that every time you wanted to make a change, you'd have to come back into Oxygen and update the footer, whereas having these widgets on the website, you can very quickly and much easier than just update those various widgets. And also for the client, it's easier to do it via the widget area than it is to load up Oxygen and maybe upset the design of something else. So that's pretty much wraps up adding widgets to the Oxygen website. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.